Hello everybody, welcome back to another Genshin Impact video, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about the biggest problem I think in Genshin Impact that I haven't seen anybody else talk about. Before we do get into this video, you guys please make sure to like and subscribe, it really helps me a lot, and yeah, let's get back into the video. So I haven't seen anybody talk about this problem, and I just encountered it recently because I summoned for Huzhou, and I find myself just not using Yoimiya. And before that, I was using Eula, and I don't use her anymore. But I do use her sometimes in Spiral Abyss. I use Yoimiya in Spiral Abyss. At a certain point, we're gonna run out of characters, or need for characters. Because right now, I have no need for Ball. There's no need for her to be on my account. And imagine Diluc was a limited character. I have him 80 out of 90, I have his weapon like this, and he doesn't have artifacts, but I have him like C1. So he's like a limited, so let's say he's a limited character. He would be sat here on my account. At a certain point, you're gonna end up being in a game state where, oh, Huzhou's enough, Zhongli's enough, Xingqiu's enough, Sucrose is enough. That's one team and I'm never gonna change it. Like, there's no need to have multiple DPSs. And actually, before Eula, I was using Zhao. Zhao is awful, and I don't like him, but before Eula, I was using Zhao, because that was my DPS, and then I switched to Eula, and then I switched to Yoimiya, and now I have Huzhou. So, it's just like a cycle of, like, if a character is built for one role, yeah, they're only gonna be used for that one role, and if it's not, like, universal, and you can use them on different parties, like Zhongli, you're not gonna use the character. And I feel like people are gonna end up just wasting resources and wasted resources. I tried to build Diluc. When I got him, I was super excited, and then he turned out to be absolute crap without like a 5-star weapon. There's no use for Diluc on my account anymore, because not only do I have Yoimiya, I have Huzhou. So he's just gonna sit here and rot away. This would be fine if he was like level 1 or something, but he's like level 80. I've spent so many resources into his talents. So I feel, don't mind the more I'm out, okay? I feel like this is gonna be a problem for a lot of characters. And you're just, and eventually I feel like people are gonna quit because of it, because if you have, like, let's say down the road you have 100 characters and you have 90 of them built, and then like others are like, and then the 10 that you don't have built are like 20 out of 40. When are you gonna use 90 characters? Like, no content in this game requires you to use more than 8 characters. So there's 41 characters, and the content requires you to only have 8 characters at most, or at minimum. Obviously, if you're using like Huzhou and Yoimiya and you fight a Pyro Slime as an enemy, it ain't gonna look too good for you. But it only requires you to have a minimum of 8 characters, which that's like what, 20%, like a little bit under 20% of the entire game. That's gonna end up being a huge gap if we don't get some reason to have multiple characters leveled up. What made me think about this was, oh, Ito's a main DPS. Not only do I have Yoimiya as a main DPS, I have Huzhou as a main DPS, I have Eula as a main DPS, and I have Zhao as a main DPS. Technically, I also have Diluc as the main DPS. All I need is to put artifacts on him. And you know, you can only use 2 main DPSs as a, like, actual thing. Eula can sort of be a sub DPS, but I use her as a main DPS. So you're just running into a problem of like, oh, well, I'm a year into the game and I have 5 main DPSs, and I only am able to use 2 of them. So it's just like, well, what happens when that's basically support characters? This is mainly for 5 stars, but I guess you could apply it to 4 stars. Because if you get Kazuha, chances are you're never going to use Sucrose again. You could, but like, they basically are competing for the same artifacts, the same stat artifacts. So you don't really want to. But you could. The way to rectify this would probably be an event where we need to use different characters every single stage. It gets harder and harder and harder every single time you go past a stage, and you can't use the same character twice. So let's say, first stage, you're going to use your least built characters possible. So you're going to use Xinyan, Yinfei, and Toma. And then second stage, you're going to use these guys. Third stage, you could use these guys. All the way up until you're using your, like, best team possible. I think that would be great. It would give also an advantage to people who have built a lot of characters. The problem is, the problem right now is, if you build a lot of characters, when are you going to use them? Spiral Abyss? You want to run Spiral Abyss again? You want to play Spiral Abyss again? Why would you do that? I'm a masochist when it comes to challenges in games, but, like, that's too much for me, man. I ain't doing Spiral Abyss twice. Nah. So let's say the first stage for, like, the tower defense thing would be, like, level 70 characters, or, like, 70 enemies. So you'd want your characters to be, like, level 60, 70. That's not hard to do for at least most characters. It's really when you're, like, here, like, these last two definitely hurt you. You could get all your characters to level 70. You could. And it would be, like, they're just sending enemies constantly at you. So, like, you could save your progress. So if you defeat 10 out of 20 enemies, you go back in with, like, a different team that's also, like, sort of the same power, and you defeat the next 10. I think that would be good. I think, like, that kind of game mode. So, once again, I play Dokkan, and that's the game that I play. Dokkan Battlefield was, like, or is, like, the rectification that I want for this game. Where we're using, like, you use 100 plus characters in that event. I think it's 112. And you're basically using, like, it's basically, you're fighting a whole bunch of bosses at once, and you're using your weaker teams first, and then you're gonna switch to, like, your strongest teams possible, and try and defeat the final boss. And it goes around, like, every single month. If that's how they do Genshin, and we're using, like, 20 characters at least, then that is great. I think that's, like, the perfect solution for this, where we're just fighting a whole bunch of bosses. Me regretting him right now, that would take a 180, and I would be like, oh yeah, thank God I built Zhao, or thank God I got Zhao, because, like, now I have Zhao, and I can kill people with him. But as of now, I'm like, oh well, I have Yoimiya, have Hu Tao, Zhao's useless. Eula still has use, because you could throw her on any team comp and just use her as sub DPS, but I don't really do that. I only do that if, like, Yoimiya, currently right now I think it's like floor 11, the first stage. It's like, well, we're like infused with pyro, so pyro damage does nothing to us. And then it's like, all right, well, I'm just gonna, kill everybody. So I'm just gonna kill everybody with Eula then. But that's basically it. Like, occasionally I have to use Eula in Raiden. But I'm missing Zhao. And if the enemies are heavy, I don't use Venti. So he was almost a waste. Diluc is completely a waste, because I sometimes use Zhao. If I'm just like, alright, who can I throw on the team? Zhao, okay. I think Genshin definitely needs to rectify this soon, because if we don't end up needing to raise a lot of characters, people are just going to use the same teams over and over. And it's not going to be fun. No one wants to do that. I'm honestly questioning whether I'm still going to be summoning for Ito, because I really want Ito, and I think he's so cool. But, like, I got Yoimiya, I got Hu Tao, and I've even, like, look how much investment I put into Yoimiya and Hu Tao. Both are triple crowned. Why would I just, nah, I'm done, I'm just gonna use Yoimiya, Hu Tao, or I'm just gonna use Ito instead of Yoimiya or Hu Tao. And also, if Ito even is, like, better than Yoimiya or Hu Tao, I'm not sure that I want to summon on him, because still, Hu Tao, Yoimiya are completely fine. and they do it way more than enough damage to suffice them being good main DPSs. That's just my take on it. I have no idea. Like and subscribe if you did enjoy this. Tell me if you agree, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.